Oh my god. Okay, so I had just gotten off of a hour-long phone call with one of my friends, and we discussed something that happened yesterday. I wasn't aware of this because, as everyone knows, I was working on a podcast with Alexander the Great. But I had found out from my friend, Soloris, that the lead writer of Half-Life, who left Valve about last year, and when I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, this franchise is done for. Like, the lead writer's gone. The guy who made the Half-Life series, wrote the story and whatnot, he's gone. So, who's going to replace him? Who's able to replace him? So, yeah, I knew right then that there was trouble. I'm like, granted, it was like, it's been 11 years, like, that doesn't help much. But now it's been 12 years. So now just yesterday, at the time of this video, he posts a quote fanfiction of what the Half-Life 3 episode 3 storyline was supposed to be, or at least was intended as he envisioned. And okay, let's say this. Had this actually been made and released in a certain time period, then that would have actually made a lot of innovation to the first-person shooter genre. But from what my friend told me and what I read, it looked like it's been done now. So, yeah, like, okay, this was the story of what Half-Life 2 Episode 3 was supposed to be, or at least one of the plans. And there's a lot of interesting details. It basically is a letter from Gordon Freeman himself. So this is the closest we'll ever get to hearing Gordon Freeman's voice. And there's a lot of there's a dissension with the Resistance. There's an attack on the Combine Empire, a suicide mission, the Borealis, the G-Man, who we don't get to explain what he is. Though, something tells me I don't really think we need to know about that. We got the aftermath of what happened to Eli. We had gotten... And there was time traveling involved. There was multi-dimensional gateways. Like the past, present, and probably the future. So, and a suicide mission attempt. And the Borealis was supposed to be this great achievement for the Combine. I haven't played the Half-Life franchise in a while, so I might be a little sturdy on the details. But, yeah. Then what the most shocking thing was Alex killing Dr. Mossman. I was shocked by that. Like, Alex shot Dr. Mossman in this, and he's dead. And this kind of shows what happened to Eli, showing this gradual decline with her. But moving on from that, like, this involved time travel, multi-dimensional jumps, trying to traverse through time and space, and all this revolves around Alex and Gordon Freeman. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Like, okay, why wasn't this not made into the game? Why was this not made a Half-Life 3? And we'll probably never know. But I have looked on details about the writer, Marc Laidlaw. Apparently, before he had left Valve, he was the lead writer of Half-Life, and then he moved over to Dota 2, probably by force, and that led to his departure. So now, from when I've seen this, I would say what is read in the letter, but it's very long. It took 20 minutes for my friend to finish explaining the whole thing. But okay, this is what he says at the end. This is what Gordon Freeman writes down at the end of the letter. And here we are. I spoke of my return to the shore. It has been a courteous path to lands I once knew, and surprising to see how much the terrain has changed. Enough time has passed that few remember me, and what I was saying when last I spoke, and when we hope to accomplish. At this point, the Resistance will have failed or succeeded, no thanks to me. Old friends have been silenced or fallen by the wayside. I no longer know or recognize most members of the research team, though I believe the spirit of the rebellion still persists. I expect you to know better than I the appropriate course of action, and I leave you to it. I expect no further correspondence from me regarding these matters. This is my final episode. Yours in infinite finality, Gordon Freeman, and that's it. That's the end of the letter. So, okay, if you see the letter, I'll put the link in the description. And this one has been corrected. Like the writer had made an edited version of it with changing the names, the genders, and whatnot in order to not get sued by Valve. And someone corrected it and uploaded cracked the code here, and this was a sense of closure for me and my friends, for Captain Cookie, Mark, and Joel, and Solaris. This was a sense of closure for all of us, because we've been a huge fan for this franchise, but it also kind of makes Valve lose its way now. And sure enough, I knew when I heard this, I knew from that moment there's going to be a shit show going on. Because when I was looking things up about this, people are now rioting on Steam and losing their minds, disliking Dota 2 because everyone believes Dota 2 has something to do with it regarding the destruction of the Half-Life franchise. And okay, here's my honest opinion. I don't think it was Dota 2's fault specifically. Honestly, the thing that might have been the reason is actually the platform they're all complaining on. Steam itself. Like Steam makes millions upon millions of dollars for Valve, and Valve owns it, and they can make money off of other people's games publishing on there. So what would be the point to make a game anymore if they're making money off of the store? Like, what, is the competition going to take over? Like, yeah, there's EA Origin, and there's GameFly, but let's be honest, they came in way late into the game. Valve basically conquered the market. It'd be amazing if they somehow came out of this. But now, people of Dota 2 fans are mad at Half-Life fans are mad at Dota fans, and then there's this third group of people that basically says, get over it, it's just a game. And yeah, it's not that simple. It's not just a game, it meant something to people. Like, to those people, they just see it as a game, another game. But to me, that revolutionized a lot of things for the first-person shooter genre. That revolutionized gaming. It put Valve on the map. And to see what has become of it is depressing. But, yeah. Half-Life is a huge franchise. It spawned so many mod spin-offs like Gary's Mod, Team Fortress, Counter-Strike. All because, and Valve took look at this and says, you know what, let's make these licenses, let's make these official games, and not, be Nintendo and be copyrighting strike everybody that makes a mod out of it, and they'll go on and make their own games. So now this whole thing has turned into basically a huge clusterfuck, and I'm wondering, how are they going to fix this? Like, it's not like the call for communication movement that happened many years ago, where fans were demanding for at least something regarding Half-Life and what the future holds for it. It's not like that. This is different, to me at least. This is from the former lead writer of the franchise. He just made something that basically addresses the problem going on and gave a sense of closure for a lot of people. And now Valve is on the brunt end of everything. They have no choice, in my opinion. They have no choice but to address this. They need to address this. Like, they can't just ignore this. This is from the former writer, and he just basically called them out on it. And he risks getting sued, most likely. But he's been trying to calm the situation down, like saying like there were a lot of unproduced scripts of the Alien franchise, and it doesn't mean it's the end of the Alien franchise. But part of me gets the feeling the reason why he published this, he could not have published it, and fans would still demand for what's going on. But something tells me he published it for a reason that, well, maybe a part of him feels like they'll never get back into Half-Life. Like, Valve has been known not to count to 3, and their recent new game they announced was Artifact, a card game. based on the Dota universe. Yeah. So, yeah, this has become a huge clusterfuck. Like, a lot of people got a sense of closure from this Gordon Freeman letter that explains what episode 3 was supposed to be, at least, or at least one of the ideas. And I really enjoyed this letter. I read it after I finished the call. I found the site, I found the translated coded version, uncoded version, and yeah, this was pretty awesome, and kind of sad that this may be our only information we ever get out of Valve, because if Valve doesn't address this, then who will? And add to the fact that the games that Valve was being compared to regarding Half-Life was Duke Nukem Forever, Diablo 3, Kingdom Hearts 3, and now look, Duke Nukem Forever came out. It sucked to a lot of people and was definitely not worth the wait. Let's see. Diablo 3 had struggles for a bit, but it finally found its footing. And Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out next year. Well, where's Half-Life Episode 3? Or Half-Life 3? No, we're not getting an answer out of you, Valve? Oh, you're making too much money off of Steam. So, one of my friends who's been a huge Valve supporter and Valve was one of his favorite companies, he's lost a lot of respect with them. And when he and his friends were talking about it yesterday, he mentioned Cookie cried about this. And I understood why, because everyone has been waiting for 12 years. This wasn't just a game for them. This was a part of their childhood and a memory of them. Like, me and my friends had made so much memories playing the modded games that came out of Half-Life. We remember playing Half-Life a lot with Seven Co-op. And we finally got something out of this. It felt like a sense of closure for us. And our respect towards Valve has greatly diminished, most likely, because Steam was possibly, in my opinion, the best and yet worst thing to ever happen. It was the best for the industry, but the worst for Valve, because Valve, while they did make some games after Steam came out, they kind of just stopped and just started making less stuff. Like, after, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, they just stopped. Like, yeah, they made updates from time to time, but really, they weren't making any more games. Like, they stopped, and now they announced this card game, digital online card game, and I'm like, that's not what we want. Like, I'm not getting pissed on Dota fans. Like, they can like the game and whatnot, but I'm like, that's not what people want. They wanted to see an update. They wanted some explanation. And Valve has not yet given an explanation yet at the time of this video. And I'm hoping that they have to, because I feel like they have no choice but to address this. They need to address this this big event that happened. If they don't, I swear this is most likely going to get worse before it gets better for them. But yeah, the fact that there was so much planned for this episode 3, and the fact that there was so much ideas and concepts that if it had came out, this would have been possibly the best episode and possibly the end of Gordon Freeman's story arc. Probably. Like, it looked like, from what I've seen, from what the letter says, it looks like it's hinting that Alex was supposed to take Gordon's place as the main character in a future Half-Life sequel. Half-Life 3 most likely. And also, we were going to get more stuff regarding Breen, regarding his death, a potential kill-off of him. And, like, he turned into this grotesque existence, got transformed, and how the original Dr. Breen died. And, yeah, he turned into a slug. I don't know, by the Combine most likely. So it's interesting how that was going to end out. So, yeah, there's a lot of intrigue, drama, betrayal, time traveling, and space jumping, and these huge events that take place in this one episode or full game, actually, in my opinion, that if it had come out and was given the proper time in development, and it came out as it was able to, this probably would have been honestly surpassing that of Half-Life if they actually went forward with it, with all these crazy ideas they had come up with. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting for a little bit of what's going to go down with Valve. Like, are they going to address this? Are they not? Like, they addressed when the Half-Life 2 leak happened before Half-Life 2 came out. But, yeah, it's going to be, like I said, very interesting and curious what Valve's going to do. The ball is now in their court, and if they don't play, things are going to get bad for them. I'm just surprised they're not a publicly traded company. If it was, stocks would be plummeting most likely at this attention they're getting. Granted, they might also earn some money at the same time, but still, they probably will get mostly declined stocks because of this whole clusterfuck going on. And now people are praising Marc Laidlaw as the new god of gaming and calling Gabe Newell the false prophet. Yeah, this is getting worse. Like, Gabe Newell was heavily respected, but when this came out, it's like, now they don't like him anymore. Like, some people might call him the new George Lucas regarding the prequel trilogy and how he just destroyed what many people loved. I like I said, I like the prequel trilogy, so I felt like nothing was destroyed to an extent. Maybe the love scenes with Anakin and Padme, that was cringing at best, but at least it's better than Rusev and Lana. But yeah, moving on from that. This is... Yeah. Yeah, this is big. Like, this was a huge moment for gamers, fans of the franchise. This was sad. It was joy. It was filled with joy, sadness, depression for people because of the fact that this ended like this. Like, that's the end. Like, that's it, man. It's over. And no idea what Valve's going to do with this. Like, if they're ever going to make a Half-Life game. But honestly, if this is all we get, I'm probably going to be content with that. A lot of my friends said they're going to be content with that. Because at least we got something. We got a sense of closure out of this. And if Alex was supposed to take Gordon's place as the main character, I would have been okay with that. So, yeah. So it's going to be very interesting what's going to happen. I'm curious as to know what Valve's going to say, if the former writer's going to get in trouble for this. Even though he changed the names and changed the genders, actually, but it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks or months actually when all this goes down, and I'll probably address this in future videos if Valve actually addresses this. So, like I said, interesting time right now for gaming fans of Valve and Half-Life. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. For a few like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.